Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Lisa L. Campbell, and welcome to this recap of Women Evolving, Igniting Growth, Healing, and Transformation Conference. On September 6, 2025, at the Chicago Marriott Midway, we gathered for a day of connection, breakthrough, and transformation. Today, I want to take you on a journey through some of the highlights of that powerful day, share why this vision was birthed, and give you a glimpse of what's next. When I created the Weight Conference, I envisioned a space where women could shed invisible burdens, what I refer to as weight, and step fully into their growth. As women, we carry so much weight: emotional, mental, physical, historical, comparative, procrastination, commitment, which are all types of weight. This conference was designed to be a safe space, an empowering place to name those weights, release them, and embrace transformation. Every detail, down to the gift box contents, they were intentional. A way to reflect, affirmations that spoke life. These boxes weren't just gifts, they were tools for each woman's growth journey. Our session began for that day with me talking about the weight we hold. This message was on the hidden burdens that shape us and how the 7 types of weight influence our ability to grow. Let's listen to this quick clip.
But before we can evolve, we must admit something. We are carrying weight. Not just physical weight, but invisible weight. Weight shows up as exhaustion that no sleep can fix. It sounds like the voice that whispers, "You are not enough." It looks like a calendar filled with commitments that leave no space for you. And here's the truth. The longer we carry it, the heavier it becomes.
This day continued with our next speaker, Dr. Neisa Jenkins. Speak up, I can't hear you. Dr. Jenkins reminded us of the power of our voices, teaching us to trust, own, and use them boldly.
So we got to break the silence. We got to be able to move forward. We got to be able to share the things we need to share with each other. Because what? The vibration in our voice does more than just make a sound. It brings healing. And all of a sudden we move forward in our day and we look back and we realize, man, what she said brought healing to me. But if I don't hear her, then I can't receive the healing. So I encourage you to find somebody Ladies, gentlemen, find somebody you can trust that's close enough to you to break the silence. So we got to get our voices back. We have to give our vibration to those things and those matters of importance. So I encourage you today to listen to your sound.
Next, Mia Chappell, Serenity of Peace. Mia led us towards joy and purpose, showing us how to release mental burdens and embrace serenity.
She answered everybody else's call but her own. And now she has 2 kids that's going to have systemic generational trauma from every decision she made because she decided she was going to mask and tell everybody she was doing good. But let me tell you something. When somebody calls, just like that lady I told you earlier, I could have made that same decision and said, you know what, I'm not going to pick up that phone. I don't feel like being bothered. And sometimes that is true. We don't feel like being bothered because we have our own weight that we're carrying every single day. But let me tell you something. Picking up the phone or answering a text may be the difference between somebody deciding that they're going to live or die.
Next up, we had Toya Hodges, Unpacking the Past. Toya helped us see how family conditioning and cultural expectations often weigh us down.
Why is it still a stigma in our
Why
community?
is it a stigma in our community to go and talk to someone?
I'm glad you asked that. Let's talk about the generational curse. Let's talk about it. Like the stigma behind, if I go see somebody, if I tell you need to go see a therapist, I mean, they call psychiatrists shrinks back in the day. But if I tell you need to go to see a shrink, you're like, you crazy. You know, people don't want these labels. People don't want these labels. And so the stigma is, again, like what goes on in this house stays in this house. We're not going to talk about it. You don't need help. We got it together. We're going to help each other. So that's the stigma. A lot of it, especially in our community, you know, it's the labeling that, you know, I believe like back in the day, it was like, I don't want to be labeled with a mental health disorder because people are going to think I'm crazy because I'm depressed.
Next on this day, we had Melinda Hill, who presented I Am Enough. Melinda affirmed that we don't need comparison to define us. Our own worth is already established.
And I thought in my mind that after I got these degrees, I should have a job, I should be making all this money, but that didn't happen. In fact, I kept getting the denials and the things about, we don't think you're a great fit or you're overqualified. And I'm like, this job isn't even paying what I know I'm worth, so how am I overqualified? But then I also got feedback that you need to stop going into these interviews telling these people what you want to do in the next 5 years. I'm like, but why? Because they're going to think you want their job. So you need to stop doing that. In fact, why don't you take your degrees off your resume as well and water it down some so that you won't look so competitive to other people.
And next on this day, we had a lunch panel, Seasons of Womanhood. Our panel consisted of Joslyn Miles, Dr. Debra Boyd-Seale, Joy Thomas, and Patrice Horton. They each spoke from their lived experiences about resilience, healing, and transformation. Let's listen to them now.
And so I would go out And I would just look at people's hair, and I would notice how they act when their hair done. I would notice how they act when their hair not done. And so moving from the city to the suburbs, I found that this group of friends that I was with was all about looks. And I remember being at home one day, and this girl came banging on my door. My mom was like, "Who is this girl banging on my back door?" And she came down to the basement, which was my shop. You couldn't tell me nothing. And she was crying. And so I told y'all, my mom said, "Don't tell nobody your business," which made me a good listener. So I said, "What's wrong?" And she was losing it about how this boy did not like her, didn't want to talk to her, and she just didn't know what to do. I said, "Sit down, let me do your hair." And the way them tears dried when I finished doing her hair, and I'm like, I got something with this. Like, let me just keep going. So I did her hair. She went outside, she told everybody, and I was the braider, the Bow Wow braids, the Iverson braids.
And the reason why I'm saying that is because as I sit here and listen to women and think about the different things in our life, I'm here to tell you that no matter what it is, when it seems real hard, you're going to get through it. I don't know how, but you're going to get through it. I'm going to talk about some things that occurred in my life. And I don't know how I got through it, but wisdom and living your life will help you go forward. So when my son was diagnosed with cancer, I could not breathe. There was no breath in me, okay? Because I thought my world was over. I really did. I thought I did not know how I would watch that child. I didn't know if he was going to live, if he was going to die. I didn't know any of that. I just knew that there was a big weight on me. When I lost my parents, it wasn't as bad as when my son was diagnosed with cancer.
And so as I, grew through my teen years and everything, I started to feel lonely, and I started going after people and things that was not for me, and which led me into being a teen mom, I got pregnant with my son my junior year of high school, and that changed everything. I thought in 4 years, I'm gonna graduate, I'm gonna go to college, and God was like, psych. No, you're not. I got pregnant with my son, and it changed my world. From that moment, I went from little girl to grown woman in a snap of a finger. I literally went from a little girl to a grown woman before I could even think about being a grown woman. And I struggle with that. And in that time, in that transition, I went through a lot. My own father told me that he would take me to abort my baby.
But the point I'm trying to make is, I got into the death care industry because I felt like so much of me had died. And one thing about death is absolute. It's guaranteed. It's going to happen. Not you, me, or anybody else in this room, in this building, on this planet is going to leave this earth alive. And something's coming for everybody. So, it's a thin line between life and death. And, what does your life mean to you? Are you living a life that you want? A life that you created? Is it yours?
After lunch, Charniece J. Martin spoke about taking action with confidence.
Make sure you're protecting your time and energy by setting clear boundaries. No is a complete sentence. That's all we need to say sometimes is no, period. Literally. And I think I would consider myself a people pleaser, so that's a struggle for me as I'm growing into the woman, that I'm becoming. I'm finding it more and more comfortable for me to say no and to push back respectfully, right? Well, they said, or disrespectful. Sometimes, yeah, depending on the situation. Yeah. right? But no is a complete sentence, and people need to respect that.
Immediately after that, Dr. Renita Ellis-Watson, releasing masculine energy.
And my husband, and some of it too was him allowing me to control the situation. So it's like, if you're going to allow me to control the situation, then I am going to control the situation, because that's what I'm used to, you know? I mean, to me, I'm helping him. I'm thinking that I'm helping him. But in all actuality, I'm hurting him and I'm hurting us, because again, my masculine energy is showing. Because for me, it wasn't, the thing itself wasn't negative, but when you put that word, that verbiage to it, then it became a negative connotation. But for me, I'm just a loving, thinking I am a loving, helpful wife versus someone that's trying to control every situation. Okay, planning every detail of the vacation.
And our last speaker for the day, Dr. Crystal Hines-Mays, aligned and free.
Sometimes we let life beat us down and beat it all out of us. We forget all about our dreams. In this room right now, we have talk show hosts, we have authors, we have pilots, we have doctors, lawyers, teachers, authors. But somewhere along the way, life has stepped in and prevented them from connecting with their dream. Dreams are sacred. They are true downloads from God, and we call them visions. Science calls this visualization, but faith calls it hope. And the brain can literally get you into that pathway where you dare to dream again.
Our day was not complete without all of our wonderful vendors. Beyond the stage, transformation happened in the connections made with our vendors. These women-owned businesses brought creativity, services, innovation that added to the spirit of the day. As I reflect on Wait 2025, I'm so grateful. What I witnessed was women giving themselves permission to grow, permission to release what no longer serves them, permission to heal. This conference was more than a one-day event. It was a movement toward wholeness and power. This is just the beginning. Mark your calendars now for September 19th, 2026, when we return with the theme of her voice, her power. The journey continues. I invite you to stay connected, bring others, and be a part of what happens next. If you want to read more about these sessions, we have created a free magazine that you can download from the website. The QR code is on the screen right now. You can scan it and download this workbook that goes into more detail about everything that I discussed today. Remember, what stays hidden stays heavy. But when we shed the weight, we rise. Thank you for being a part of this journey.